Okay, hi, this is Terry Compton. A little more than 30 days ago, I posted an image to Facebook which contained a lot of information. I offered a $20,000 reward for anybody who could extract that information from the image and present it to me and show me how they had done it. If they succeeded in doing that, I was going to give them $20,000. To my knowledge, nobody tried. Nobody informed me that they had tried. And so today I'm going to show you how this is done. It's done with a program that I have written. And the program I have written is to conceal communications in images. Of course, it does a lot more things than that, but that's probably the top level thing it does, the thing most interesting. It also encrypts and decrypts messages, as most encryption and decryption algorithms do. And if you want, you can encrypt an external SD card, all the data on it, which basically locks all the data on the SD card. And other things, you can do anything you can do with any of the normal encryption programs. One thing about mine is that I believe that it is the strongest encryption available. I believe it's unbreakable if they use the right parameters. But anyway, I'm going to show how this is done today on this video. First of all, before you can hide data in an image, you got to have an image. And I have one here which is called hummingbird moth. Okay. And then you have to have some document that you want to store in that image. And so I have something here that's called alldocs.txt. So I'm going to store alldocs.txt in hummingbird moth. Then I'm going to show you how you post it to Facebook. You can't post it directly to Facebook because Facebook does not maintain the fidelity of images. It changes their size and the resolution and other aspects of the image so that destroys any data that might be in an image. So in order to make this work and use Facebook, you have to first store the image on a site which maintains the fidelity of the image. And the site that I use is called Flickr. It maintains, and then I can post to Facebook a reference to that image so that when anybody views my post, it will go get the image and display it on Facebook, but the image is really being stored on Flickr, and its fidelity is maintained that way. So that's how you have to do it, and I'll show you how to do that. First thing we got to do though is we got to store alldocs.txt into hummingbird moth.png. So to do that, we're going to use the very first command. That's the reason it's the first command, because I expect it to be the most often used command. And we'll use the command EH. So capital E, lowercase h, and we hit enter. It wants the name of the file to encrypt. Well, the name of the file that we're going to encrypt is alldocs.txt. So I will go get that name. I could type it in, or I can copy the name from File Explorer, which I'm doing right now, bring it over and post it to my program with a Control V, and there it is, alldocs.txt. Next thing it wants to know is the image you're going to store. You're going to hide this data in, and I said we would hide it in this hummingbird.moth.png file. And so I will again copy the name of the file from the File Explorer and put it into here, and then hit return. And then it's saying that it's got capacity to hide 3,043,020 bytes, but it only needs to hide 730,377 bytes. So it looks like there's enough room to store it. It would advise me if there weren't enough room to store the image, the data in the image. And so right now it's in the process of doing that. So we'll wait just a second for it to finish. Okay, it just finished, and it said it used about 24% of the available bits in the image. And it tells me how many bytes it hid, and gives other information. Then it asks, do I want to delete the original file? The reason you would delete the original file is if you're doing this and you're trying to do it so that nobody can intercept your communications, then you do not want to leave a copy of the original file around for somebody to be able to compare the original with the new version that you just made that contains the data, but because by comparing that they can see which bits have been changed. So you could hide the original image so that nobody could access it, or you could just delete it so that there wouldn't be any possibility of their accessing it. Since this is just a demonstration, I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to say no here. And that means that both the original and the image, which now contains the additional data, both exist. And somebody technically could compare the two and see which bits have been changed. However, that still wouldn't reveal the message to them because it's encrypted, so that even though they would have the bits that have been changed, and actually it's not entirely true that they would have all the bits that have been changed, because it turns out that 50% of the time the bit value in the image is already the value that the algorithm wants it to be, so it doesn't have to change it. So it still wouldn't be clear exactly which bits have been changed. So anyway, we're not going to delete it right now. So we just completed that. So we have a new file. If we come over here and put the information up based upon the date modified, and the new file we now have is called hummingbirdmoth.alldocs. And this is encrypted data here that tells me which key was used in order to encrypt the data. And since we don't want somebody to be able to read the key and thereby know exactly what key it was, we encrypt the key value. But this does give us all the information that we need to extract the data and know which key we need to use to extract the data. The program will figure all that out on its own. Okay, so this is now a new image. Now, just to show what we've done here is that we can go and take a look at hummingbird moth.png. I'll double click on that, and that'll bring up the image, and there's the image of hummingbird moth before data is loaded into it. And now here's the same image, hummingbird moth.png, but it's got included in it this other information. Double click on that, and hummingbird moth now comes up with the information included in it. The inclusion of the information does not noticeably change the image. It still looks essentially the same. It's my claim based on how I do this, and I don't do it the same way anybody else does it as far as I know. I haven't been able to find anybody else doing it the same way I am. I will say I do use the least significant bits, but how I use those is such that no more than at most 25% of the least significant bits will be changed, which turns out to be, for a 24-bit image, 3% of all bits are changed, which is not very many, and they're changed in the least significant position. So the image continues to look essentially the same, both before and after the data's been loaded into it. So now we have this file here. It contains quite a bit of data. Alldocs.txt contains the book of Genesis from the Bible, the book of Matthew from the Bible. It contains Romeo and Juliet, the play. It contains the Constitution, and it contains the Magna Carta, and I think there's one more document that it contains. So there's 700, I think, 700 and some, we'll check it out here and see, 714 kilobytes of information in that file. Okay, now, so we have taken the data, we put it into hummingbirdmoth.alldocs.txt, and now we're going to upload it to Flickr. Okay, so I'll go to Flickr, and you'll have your own method of logging onto Flickr. These are some things that I've posted recently to Flickr, and you'll want to then upload Okay, and so we do that, and I'll choose the photos and videos, and we'll come down, and we're on G colon, but I want to be on L colon, so I'll go up one and get L, and there's my hummingbird moth.txt, and I'll open that. Now, if we wanted to, we could change this name, because with all this information, somebody might catch on that that's a clue that there's information embedded in it. So we could rename this, but if we do, it has to come back to this name eventually before we'll be able to extract the message, the file that's in it, and decrypt it. At this point, I won't do that. It is there is a feature that you can encrypt the whole name of the file and post that instead, and there are other approaches that you might use. But anyway, for this demonstration, I'll just keep it like it is, and I'll then open it, and that will cause it to be updated, and upload one file, and upload. I'm uploading it public so that anybody can see it, and anybody can download it. This is important. If you're trying to hide who's getting the data, then you want anybody to be able to get it, even though you may only have one person that knows that there's data hidden in it. But you'd like anybody to be able to download it. That way, if someone were trying to figure out who you were communicating with by finding out who had downloaded this image, if more than one person had downloaded it, and the more the merrier, then it would make it that much more difficult to determine which one of them you were communicating with. Of course, since they can't extract the data without having the program that I've written, and without having the key that was used to encrypt the data that's put in there, they still wouldn't be able, first they couldn't prove that there was any data in the image. Secondly, even if they suspected it, they wouldn't be able to extract the data and show what it was. So right now we're uploading the image to Flickr. It's taking it a minute. Maybe Flickr's busy today. It's going a little slow, I think. I'll pause the video while this finishes, and then I'll turn the video back on as soon as it's finished. Okay, the image is now completed, and it's been uploaded, and it's sitting here. It just looks like any normal image on Flickr. So the next thing we got to do is we're going to take this image, and we're going to display it, and we're going to say then that we want to share it. And we'll see if this is going to work for me like I hope it does. Actually, we'll see if it does come up, and I was concerned that it may ask me for my password and I'd have to go look at my password. But then I can just type in anything. This is hummingbird moth eating or drinking its lunch from my phlox flowers. So it appears that I am showing off my image, and this is an image I took, and it is my flowers and right outside my front door. And I do have 60,000 images that I've taken. I did study photography after I retired. I studied it for a year and then did a lot of photography for a while. And so I have lots of these images. But anyway, I'm going to post this image to Facebook now. Okay, so what we've done is we've posted the image to Facebook, except that we didn't really post the image. What we did is we posted a reference to the image so that when somebody looks at it, it will come back and show that it came from Flickr, or Flickr will not change anything. Okay, I logged on to Facebook. It didn't show you exactly how, and of course here is my post to Facebook showing this hummingbird moth eating or drinking its lunch from, well, that was supposed to be Maya, but it says Moo Phlox Flowers. Okay, anybody looking at this wouldn't have any idea other than this information down here would possibly give a clue. We could change that. Anyway, wouldn't have any idea that there was a substantial amount of text embedded in this image. Now, if I were a person who was looking at this and I was trying to communicate with that person, then their job would be to get access to this image on Flickr. To do that, all they have to do is to double click on the image and it comes up on Flickr. At that point then, they're able to download the image to their system, which I'll do right now, download it, and always download it in the original resolution. If you change the resolution, change any of the attributes of the image, then you will lose the data because it'll become desynchronized. So you must keep with the original. So we'll download it with the original, and it's downloading it now. As soon as it's downloaded, then we'll be able to go get the image. Okay? And they give a screwy name to the image. And I'll pause momentarily while I go take care of retrieving the image. Okay, I've gone and the image is now in my download directory. And here it is right here. This is the name that has been given to it by Flickr. And I will now copy that image and I'm going to go over and put it in the same directory where I have all of my other tools right here, and I'll post it right here and paste it. Now, as I told you before, we cannot remove the data from this image unless it has the same name as what we started with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy that name right now and we'll do that right now from the original image to the other. Now this name would have to be communicated. Now let's see, before I can do that though, I can't do that. First I have to rename this so that it doesn't write over it. So they don't both have exactly the same name. So I'm just going to put an X in front of that. Change his name so we won't use it. Then I'm going to come back and change this. Okay. Now we have an image which we downloaded, which is first was uploaded to Flickr, posted to Facebook. From Facebook, it was gotten from reference to Flickr again, downloaded from Flickr, and now we're going to try to extract the data that's in it. So we'll come back to our program, and as I said, you need to have exactly the same name you started with when you end up here. And so we'll go to the command which unhides, extracts the data from the PNG file, which is, I believe that stands for Programmable Network Graphics, or let's see, Portable Network Graphics file, which almost all sites support this format. I'd be surprised if any site did not support this format. Anyway, we will execute this UD command, UD, and I hit Control instead of Shift, so I'll do it again, UD, and then it wants to know the name of the file that we want to hide. So the name of that file will be just what we were messing with a minute ago. So we'll tell it right there, and then we go ahead and execute this command. And right now it's working on extracting the data, decrypting it, and putting it in a file. So that file will, as soon as it's finished, it will appear over here on our File Explorer window, and then we can take a look at it and see if it's the same thing we posted originally. It'll take it a minute or two to do this. Not a minute or two. Take a few, maybe as much as a minute, but probably not that long. It'll be through here in momentarily. There it is, it just finished. And so if we come over here, and if we have our system ordered by date modified, then we will have a couple of new files. And one of them is called all docs, and the UD stands for the command that extracted this data, unhide and decrypt. So this is all docs.txt unhid and decrypted. Do that so that it doesn't have the same name as the original one, as the original file. So it doesn't write over the original file. Here's the original all docs.txt. We now have all docs.ud.txt says that it was hidden, then it was extracted and decrypted, or unhidden. So we'll double click on that, and here we come. We have the King James Bible, Genesis 1, and this is the book of Genesis. If we go to the end, Control End, and come up here, make sure I get page up, then we should have the 28th chapter of Matthew. This is the book of Matthew. If we keep looking, we will finish and get into something besides the book of Matthew. And here we have, let's see, read enough of this so that I can, this is the Declaration of Independence. Okay, and then above that, Declaration of Independence is Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. And above that, we would have, if we keep going, now this is a Declaration of Independence. Oh, this is the Constitution. Okay, Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, and now we have the book of Genesis. Okay, that's where we started from. Okay, we have, I think, 5 different documents in here, and they've all been stored in the image. It was posted to from Flickr to Facebook, and then it was retrieved in Facebook from Flickr, and then it was extracted. And that's the process you go through. You cannot post it just directly to Flickr, because Flickr will destroy the data in the image when they manipulate the size and various attributes of the image. So this is how it's done, and for all those who are interested in the program, I would be willing to provide more information. My name is B. Terry Compton on Flickr and on Facebook. And you can contact me either way, or you can contact me through 765-460-8957. Thank you. Bye.